Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Jackal podcast. Join with me, as always, the inside man who does inside man type things, Rick Collins.
Except I don't hide behind fake walls. I'm out here up front, ready to talk about a very difficult Jackals weekend.
Yeah, we got to get to that, but first up, like we always do, we got to get to Rick and the announcements, man.
So we are in the process of bringing on a treasurer. I've talked to several people. It's going to be really key going forward for our club, for our fan club. We want to do a lot of stuff in this next 400 days. So talking about basically now until close to end of season next year. So we're trying to plan early, and we're going to start fundraising at some point in the near future. So we want to make sure that everybody's aware of what we're doing as a club and what we're looking for. I've posted several times about it, but if you have a skill set that might be applicable to what we're doing and want to help us grow rugby and DFW, please don't hesitate to message Keith, myself, Michael King, or Kabui Butt. And then on top of that, we are planning on youth events in the next 400 days. So for sure, there's going to be at least one youth event that we are going to host and hopefully find some sponsors for before the end of next year, before the end of next rugby season. So we're excited about that. So we've got a lot of planning to do, but we're really excited to at least get something going with youth rugby in DFW. The other pieces we have an away match this weekend and next weekend, and I will be out. So Keith, you will be handling hosting duties at the London or Addison unless we hear that we may be able to get a deal somewhere else. There is something else in the pipe that could come through. But otherwise, right now, London or Addison for sure this weekend. And that's a 6 p.m. start away at SeatGeek Stadium to play the Chicago Hounds. So very exciting to play our fellow dogs, basically straight up the Mississippi. And we've got them at a 6 o'clock start. So that means be at the Londoner 5:30 to 6. And we'll spend an extra 30 minutes after probably complaining about a referee call, at least one.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you Den Dogs to come out because I can't drop the expletives like Rick can. I'm a little more reserved than that. If you watch me on the live feeds, I'm usually just the guy that's like chewing gum and like just nervously watching the game, and then Rick provides the color commentary in the background.
And it's definitely color.
I have to go ahead and make a quick comment about that. The turnouts for those have been absolutely great this season so far. Thank you to everyone that's been coming out to them. I mean, we had more people this weekend than we did the previous one.
Yep.
And it's just, and then getting pretty much the president of the team and then a rugby podcasting celebrity out at the game this last week. It's like,
we need to make sure that we have celebrities lined up for the next 2 weekends. I'll look into that. I mean,
it's been great.
Man is on the job.
So, but yeah, it's been really great. And I just had to thank everybody once again for coming out to those because we've had really good turnouts for those both times we've done them. And let's keep it going, guys.
Absolutely. Got to keep up the energy despite the struggles. So the biggest news for the Jackals, I think everybody saw it during the match Saturday, that Jalen Tatum went down after taking a hit. Looked eerily similar, if y'all are NFL fans, it looked eerily similar to that Buffalo Bills player taking a shot in the chest and going like basically passing out. Now, Tatum he was moving around on the field. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. But as he got carted off the field, he had thumbs in the air, waving at the fans. So that was good, but then we're fearful, well, this could be the entire season. This could be longer than an entire season with the situation where you're getting hit in the chest and have that kind of situation. But good news, he's doing well. We've heard what the injuries were. I won't repeat what they were. That's for the club to really announce. but we're excited to hear that it's not nearly as bad as what we thought it might be, and that there's possibility he'll return for the season.
It's not life altering for him. That's the best news that we got out of all of this. The outpouring of support from the Jakl den to the Tatum family, they really, they saw that on our Facebook page, and we worried about him. As soon as we saw it, you see him on the ground, legs shaking, and he's in pain, and it's kind of, we haven't had that a whole lot. Most of the big accidents have been off the pitch.
Yeah, geez. We've had more players injured off the pitch than on the pitch, I think.
Yeah, the one last year that came to mind was the Leonard's injury, Matt Leonard's, whenever he went down. I mean, we're 30 feet from, we could hear him screaming in agony. We knew it was bad, whatever it was. But it's good to see that, Jalen, he seems to be, he's a tough guy, man. He's a big old dude from Georgia, and I'm sure, he'll be back on his feet in no time.
Yeah. So that brings us to the second part of our episode, which I think everybody is not really looking for, or maybe you are looking forward to it. I don't think we're really looking forward to talking about it, but that is the play on the field this past Saturday. I don't know, Keith.
22-0. We lay a goose egg.
What do we even say? Like, we want to have our 3 stars that we would talk about later in this, but I struggle to even find them in this match. Poor communication on defense, which has been our bugaboo this season. And then the maul execution. We get the lineouts. The lineouts look good. We're getting the ball, getting to ground. And then from there on, it's a disaster. And I can't figure out what it is. If it's the other team knows exactly what we're doing, or we have plays set up and we're just not executing on them. But whatever it is, the maul is just really, really bad right now.
I mean, there's really not much to say. I mean, you brought up kind of the key moments. Obviously, poor maul execution. By my count, this has been 9 trips within the 5-meter line in 2 weeks that have resulted in 0 points on the board. For those of you who are not familiar with rugby as a sport, these are usually I wouldn't say the easiest moments to score, but they're some of the easiest moments to put points on the board. That should be.
I wonder what the average is, even in MLR. I bet in MLR it's pretty high. I bet the average number of points scored per trip inside the 5 is probably almost 4 or 5 points. Yeah, I bet it's insanely high, because teams typically at the level that MLR is are much better offensively at the maul than they are defensively at the maul. Defense at the maul is really difficult. There's a specialty to learning that.
And we do actually have that. Yeah. We do have that. We can stop them when they're trying to come across. We've seen it multiple times where we've gotten within our 5 and we've gotten out of trouble, out of harm's way. But the situation is that you're not going to win games just playing defense 90% of the time.
Yep.
You're just not. And especially when, I get Houston and I get Seattle. These are top level teams in the league. These are going to be teams that are going to be competing for the championship more than likely. But when, Utah, it was a matter of kicking issues.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have let them score that much on us to begin with.
Yeah.
And then a team that San Diego that yes, they're one of the higher end teams as well, but I mean, going back and watching, San Diego played horribly.
Yeah, they did not play well. We should have been in that. We were in that game at halftime, and I don't think we should have been. Based on the way we played, Houston would have been up by 30.
30 easily. Same thing with Seattle. They would have been putting it on us. They would have been.
And San Diego just let us stick around until late in the second half, which was infuriating that we couldn't do anything about it.
And that was the thing. The one penalty that we went for a kick, we got Marcos Moroni, who was I had totally realized. Oh yeah, he was the winger that got suspended in game 1. He came back. He was at fullback. And it was like a 50 meter kick. He was easily 2.5, 3 meters short of even getting close to the goal. It was just lackadaisical. We kick for the corner. We get nothing out of it. Now, I mean, there is one positive I see in all of this, and people are going to be like, "What positive did you see in this?"
Added 0 points. Yeah.
We didn't get a red card this week.
And we didn't get a red card to a starter, which happened 2 out of the last 3 matches. So I agree that's a good start, but without clearly Elias is the guy they want at 10 with Carlsa at 15.
At fullback.
That looks like they're what they want to get to. And now that he's out for 2 more weeks at least for the red card that he got, we're gonna have a problem just kind of maintaining continuity in our back line. One, and then 2, if they can't figure out how to function together defensively, I don't know how this is going to get better, because the first try was a gimme. We gave them that try. The defense, I don't know what they were doing, but there was mass miscommunication on it. Somebody came in hard, and then I think it was Vara basically had a 2-on-1 and got neither of the guys. And so they had like 3 on our fullback, and
it's frustrating to watch. And I mean, we've seen some of the combinations that they could try. We did see them in the scrimmage with Alejandro Torres starting at first 5/8 at fly half. And I love Alejandro. I think he's a great player. He's got an amazing boot on him. But he's just not really the strongest fly half, though.
Yeah.
I feel like outside of Elias, we have Adrian Carlsa at fly half. That's what he's made his career in. But then it leaves us bare at fullback.
Yeah.
Because Adrian at least has some defensive ability. And I mean, we've seen him under the ball. He catches the ball. Adrian had a good kicking game as far as kicking into touch.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe his best kicking game so far.
As far as, not kicking for points, but kicking for position.
But it's not his skill in kicking. I really don't doubt that. And he had a great game in terms of the skill of kicking. But there's so many, it's the decision-making in kicking that just drives all of us nuts. There were multiple chances where we could have counterattacked or done a high kick or a chip over into space, and we choose to kick it long to get 3 guys who are known for counterattacking with Huli, Teao, and Mattias. Like, that's what those guys are good at. Why
guys, you don't kick the ball
to them into space? Yeah. What?
This would be like in football terms. This is throwing the Deion Sanders side of the ball. This is what that is in football standards. You're throwing to the Deion Sanders side of the field, and you don't do that because
every single time thinking, no, we'll get through it. We'll get through it eventually. No, stay away from that.
I feel like our best fetcher on the team was not there. Conrad Aurora is easily our best fetcher as far as running the ball forward. That's his bread and butter. We haven't really seen that this year from him really at all. And it's been, it's been a bit disheartening.
He's been injured apparently. I'm guessing it's got to be injury, because I don't know why else, or sickness, that he's been out. But he's been out for 2 weeks. And then before that, he was playing at lock, which, I mean, this is part of all the problems we've talked about since October, right? Is we're
locks.
So I guess they're thinking, no, Rura will play lock if we need another lock. And you see what he gets injured. Now we're without Rura at all. It's like, and then Tatum comes in for Rura and he gets injured. We are so light now in that back 5. I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, we obviously should be getting Big Mike back at any moment, and we saw the difference he made off the bench.
Yeah.
And I will say this is another positive I will bring up. Our bench this year has probably been better than our starting. Our guys off the bench have been absolutely electric this year.
I think our bench, well, it's much better than I think we thought our bench would be this year based on just on paper. but they've been better than other teams' benches.
And that was the exact opposite case last year.
Oh
That was
yeah,
why we got beat
our
by San
bench got
Diego
run
at San
over
Diego.
last year.
And it's like we had and that's what I think is the most frustrating part is we've seen them make so many changes for the better, but the results haven't changed. And it's frustrating. And I mean, like, look, I'm still on the boat. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When this thing clicks, it's going to click, and it's going to click well. You don't bring in the coaches they brought in here to go 0-16. That just doesn't happen. But in the same respects, and I mean, I talked about this on the Rugby Rant. I mean, I have to really tip my hat to the amount of USA Eagles we've seen playing in this league that are very, very good.
Yeah.
We should have not made the World Cup this year based on the talent and skill sets I've seen in Major League Rugby from our US players. How we didn't make it is beyond me, but I've been thoroughly impressed through all 4 rounds of the USA Eagles on the opposition teams that have played really, really well.
So you bring that up, which brings up an interesting point. How many Eagles are on our roster?
None.
0. How many future Eagles are on our roster?
Tidwell?
Gala?
Definitely. That'd probably be about it.
I mean, that's the problem is not only do these other teams have current Eagles or Eagles from recent past, but they are also developing players that, they've got guys there that can or will be Eagles. And I'm not sure that we have any of those guys. And that was the thing we talked about, around October, November, when they started showing some of the signings. Where are the U.S. guys, the talented U.S. players that they're bringing in?
And it is it's a bit disheartening. I mean, obviously, I don't think any of us really saw.
And that's no hate on the players that we have. We have some fantastic young players, but they're not going to match up against a Ryan Mattias and Nate Augsburger. Cam
we don't have
any.
Yeah, we don't have anybody with more than 20 caps internationally, period.
Right.
I mean, I think Boyson is at a dozen, maybe. Liam Murray and Steves are both at a cap apiece. I think Murray's at 3 or 4 caps now. Right. And that's really, I mean, Zeiss has, I think, 4 for Argentina. Yeah. I don't know of anybody else on our roster that really has any caps, man, internationally. And it's like, we had that same problem last year. We had that exact same problem last year.
I'll say that we have a lot more talent overall, I think, like current talent, not guys that could be talented in 5 years right now than we did last year.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, they want to develop USA Eagles. I'm just not seeing that right now.
I'm not seeing that at all on our roster. Unfortunately, no. I'm not either.
And could they have brought in a young lock, traded for a young lock from somewhere else? Could they have traded for a young center from somewhere else? Maybe Satama is a guy that ends up being that kind of player. But right now, I agree with you. I just don't see it. And I hope we're wrong. I really do. But I think you just see the talent level. And I would say 2 years ago, this Jackals team is probably 500. But the talent level in Major League Rugby is way, way higher than it was 2 years ago.
You've been following this league probably as long as I have, Rick. The last 2 seasons, the talent level has taken not steps, it's taken leaps in the last 2 years. The team that won the first 2 championships in this league, the Seattle Seawolves, they won the first 2. That team would go 0-16 right now.
They would have an extremely difficult time. Like what New York has put together, even the Seattle team, right? They made the championship. That this Seattle team this past year was leaps and bounds ahead of where Seattle was the first 2 seasons.
And it's just Houston is an amazing dichotomy. they were where we were for not 1 year, not 2 year, but 3 years, 4 years. And then they finally turned it around. Austin, who
Yep.
we have now eclipsed for the most losses in a row.
No. We'll eclipse them if we lose this weekend.
Jesus.
we're still tied with them.
But I mean, Austin was horrible. I remember the season they didn't win a single game, just like ours, and that was not their inaugural season either.
Oh, it was the second year, yeah.
Yeah, and it's they had talent on their roster, and it just never really panned for anything. But like,
I really hope that we see the team play the way they did against Utah this upcoming weekend against Chicago. I think Chicago is very similar to Utah at this moment in terms of the way they play, talent, and everything. Yes, at this moment. Now, 2 months from now, that may be a totally different game. But right now, compared to San Diego, Seattle, Houston, which I think it's going to end up San Diego, Houston, Seattle, or San Diego, Seattle, Houston. I think, to me, those are clearly the 3 best teams in the West.
The 3 best teams in the West.
Maybe the 3 best teams in Major League Rugby.
After what New Orleans did to New York this last weekend, you might be right, Rick. You might be right. That was a shocker there. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't think anybody picked that one.
I did not.
All right, so we're going to get to the 3 stars of the game.
Oh, yeah. We'll go ahead and do this. You go ahead and shoot first.
We're not even going to talk about the referees. We're not talking about the referees. I think everybody's aware of how we feel about that. So my 3 stars, I'm picking Torres, Zeiss, and Boyson. Boyson, I mean, he's just leading tackler every week for us. He's all over the pitch. His fitness, he is on point this year. The fitness is there. Ball carrying is still there. He just made plays when other guys kind of decided they wouldn't, to be honest. There were multiple times I saw him make a tackle on somebody that somebody else should have been making that tackle and didn't. So I love the effort he's putting out there. And obviously Namibia's back row is pretty crazy right now. When you add him and Conradi and whoever else they have probably play over Europe. Zeiss again, the scrum, the lineouts, not him throwing, but obviously our guys are getting higher than other teams' guys in lineouts, and he's a lifter, so got to give him credit there. But it's really the scrums that's the difference maker. We're actually winning our own scrums. Scrums are stable. I think we only had 1 scrum penalty against San Diego, which is a top scrummaging team in MLR, and then Torres, who I think has played really well this year so far. For a guy who was a draft pick last year, and this is his sophomore season, I thought he's been fantastic. His boot is phenomenal. He's learning from the best there with all the Argies and Carlsa, but I thought he was great again, especially stepping into 12 when Elias is out and we've got other injuries there. I thought he was great.
I'm going to go ahead. 2 of these I will agree with you on. I mean, and I'm going to go ahead and say at this point, my quarter of a season MVP has been Adrian Boyson. Yeah. He has been electric, but not to be outshined. The veteran on the front row, Pablo Zeiss. I mean, he's leading by example with these young guys that he's out there with. Dewey Cutsia, Liam Murray and Steves are both really young. They're learning from the best. They're learning from one of the best with him. So it'd be Zeiss and Boyson. And he came in way earlier than he probably should have, but maybe not the best performance, but he held for what he could. I'm going to give it to Connor Robinson.
Okay.
He did not anticipate that. He came in way earlier than he should have. And I mean, did he do an amazing, great job? No, but he did the best. And you can see he was out there just trying to give it his all the whole time.
As a ball carrier, I thought he was phenomenal based on what my expectation was.
Yeah, we did not expect that. You never expect one of your flankers to go down the way that Tatum did. And we brought him in. I mean, you can see on the live, I'm like, man, I was nervous because it was like, okay, we're going to have a big hole right there. And was he an all-star performance? No, but he came out and you could just see when you see somebody that's got that drive and that desire, you can teach technique to kids like that. You can teach them to be better at it. And he's young. He's really young. So I'm giving him it just because it was like not expected for him at all. And he came out and did his best. Yeah. So I give him my 3rd star of the game. We got this weekend, Chicago, obviously. You will be there in attendance.
I will be in Chicago. Promise I'll do as much gramming or Facebooking or whatever you put photos up on nowadays. And then I will be in New England the following weekend. So anybody who's traveling, make sure to message me and try and get you some tickets and meet you out at the tailgates because Chicago's got a good tailgate. I'm assuming Boston's got a good one too.
Dude, I really hope it's
never been to Quincy.
I really hope it's not cold when you're there, Rick, because Massachusetts is cold, bro. It's cold up there.
I'm gonna bring out my winter jacket again, huh? Just put that.
I think apparently it was pretty cold this last weekend. So, but yeah, man. So once again, we'll see you guys out at the Londoner this weekend, and while Rick is on the road, so we're gonna have to make it loud and proud for Rick. But anything else from you, Rick? Are you good?
Hey, I'm good. Let's just not talk about refereeing because that'll get me all not good anymore. So
we'll leave it out for the day. This has been another episode of the Jakl Den podcast made for the fans by the fans. Cheers, guys.